What makes a champion? What's the X factor? What's the explanation? Subject that fascinates us all, whether it's sport or anything else. Tonight we focus on sport. In fact, we just heard that at the Detroit Coliseum today, Ernst Finster, the Finnish pole vaulter, pole vaulted a height of 18 feet, 6 inches. Unfortunately, the roof of the Detroit Coliseum is only 16 feet, 5 inches high. So that in one jump, Finster broke both the indoor and outdoor records, as well as 3 ribs, 2 collarbones, and goodness knows what else. We've got champions from all walks of life, and runs of life, and swims of life here tonight, and we're going to try and get it, what it is that makes a champion. I don't know where to begin. George Knudson, let's begin with you. You're in the situation as the best golfer that Canada's probably ever had. You're in a situation where it's not you against an opponent like in boxing or something. It's you with yourself in a specific moment. I mean, what is it that keys you to success or failure when it comes, for instance, to a vital putt?
Well, it's concentration, I guess, David, and it's a big question that always came up. How can you stroke a putt for 20,000 or whatever it happens to be? And people don't realize that your involvement is not just that moment. It's the time that you spent prior leading yourself into this situation, and you're actually not really relating to anything other than the job that you're facing. It's dealing with the present.
Yes, but I mean, as you gaze, let's say, 11 feet or whatever the distance is that the putt's required, I mean, what are the factors that go into making that a successful one or an unsuccessful one? As you say, there's obviously one factor in terms of the result is whether you win $100,000 or $5 bet with your neighbor around the corner or whatever. But assume it's an important putt. Now, what are the factors? I mean, what determines that you will do it well and at your best rather than not quite at your best?
Procedure. Just having a routine that you're being continually doing, and this is what you have to do to get the job done. It's basically that. It's just having a procedure that you follow throughout that allows you to have the concentration that is required.
I suppose, Dave Cutler, that a putt, a vital putt, is a bit like the moment when you come up for a vital kick or whatever. I mean, the same amount of concentration or procedure. Is that what matters to you? Are they the important things to you?
I would say exactly that, because the only difference between George's putt and my kick is the tons of people coming at me. And I think large, very large, fast, and none of them really like me a lot. But
there's no human warmth, you feel?
No. Brotherhood is not real big right there.
No. Affection is at a premium. Right.
But I think that the concentration level is your ability to take yourself away from the situation of failing. And I think that's what you were, or what George was talking about, meaning dealing with the present. Because if you think about failure, then that is the future. And you're probably going to miss what you're aiming to do. And so I think the concentration level is one where you can just blot out everything and just let basically the work that you've done before go through the ball, and basically a reflex action.
What does being off form mean? I mean, if one day you're off form, why is that?
I think in my particular job, there's basically 3 people involved, and those 3 people being a center, a holder, and then me, the kicker. And any one of us can be slightly off, but the parameters that they have for being slightly off are far less than mine. And when I'm slightly off, it's generally because I haven't been able to fall into the reflex mode, as opposed to thinking about failure. Like, I know when I'm going to miss.
You do?
And that's when other teams, that's why they bug you, and that's why they taunt you, and that's why they yell at you, is to try to shake you off what you normally do by reflex.
How do they bug you and taunt you most?
They question sexual habits.
Do they? Yeah. Do they question them or specify them?
Some of them claim to know my wife, and that sort of thing. And what they are doing, you know, guys that you know from other teams will try to make you laugh and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And those things, although funny on the field to them, are designed by them as well to shake you off what is normally done by you.
And so how do you deal with that? I mean, cotton wool or in the ears or
Actually, I have a hearing aid that I turned down. No, that's actually practice. And that's, again, I agree with George that you do it so often that if you do it well enough in your own mind, then it becomes that reflex that you want it to be. And I had to do something fairly special in our national final here a little while ago. And I would hate to have people realize how easy that actually was. And that's not being falsely modest. It was just because we had done it so often in practice that it was just another practice.
And those occasions, those rare occasions when you know you'll fail, how do you know and why do you know?
You feel, at least for me, when I'm behind the job, in other words, basically setting everything up in my mind, that the setup isn't quite right, that my psychological framework isn't quite as sharp as it should be. And then you really fly onto a skid. You know, there's sometimes a panic of varying degrees in your head that, you know, oh my God, you know, I've got to straighten things out real quick. And then you're doing things in a herky-jerky way, or you're not following and being flowing in your form. And I think that rhythm physically is probably the biggest thing in the kick, and then you break your rhythm, and then it's gone.
And then you know you're going to
That's right.
not make it. George, if you're playing golf with a partner or whatever, or fellow golfers, do fellow golfers ever question their opponent's sexual habits?
I think there was a lot of that when I played amateur golf, but professional golf was very enlightening to me when I got into it. It's probably the most above-board sport of all professional sport. It really is. It's incredible. I think possibly because the fellows live with one another year-round.
Well, that's where we get to the question of the sexual habits. No, but I was thinking that, for instance, Sam Snead and other golfers were famous for sort of psyching opponents and saying, you know, well, who's going to be second and all that sort of stuff. I mean, some psychological warfare surely goes on.
Oh, that certainly happens. I would suggest amongst friends. But basically, it's pretty straightforward.
Because you go around as a circuit rather like
You've got to live with one another, and who wants to be uncomfortable?
So there's no dirty tricks in golf?
Not professional, no. It's pretty straightforward. I think that what happens if somebody comes into the professional field and wants to get a little funny, it's not too long before they get the heel put to them, and they realize that that's not allowed in this league.
So the consensus gets together and puts the boot in where necessary. Well, as you can see, this is a fascinating subject. What makes a champion? What are the tactics? What are the way to get to the top? What's the way to make sure you're a best? We'll be exploring it some more with some more household names and living legends in just a moment.
Life in the Navy, a tradition for some, a tempest for others.
This child belongs to you and me, not to the Mallory family. Pardon me, next time I'll knock.
Compelling stories of the men and women of Emerald Point, NAS. Global's got it, Mondays at 10.
Pardon me, boy, is that the Chattanooga Juju?
The Home Shop presents Memory Lane, a rare and unique 3-record collection featuring 44 of the greatest hits of the 1940s and 50s, like the 12th Street Rag and Eddie Fisher.
Oh, my papa.
Relive your fondest memories of the good old days by enjoying some of the greatest and most memorable hits ever recorded, like Concordettes, and the Andrew Sisters.
He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of company.
All songs are the original hits performed by the original artists and are not available in any store at any price. You must be completely satisfied or your money back.
Tra-la-la, tweedledee-dee, there's peace and goodwill.
Les Paul and Mary Ford.
Vaya con Dios, my darling.
Also the Ames Brothers.
R-A-G-G-M-O-P-P, ragtop. The wheel of fortune.
K-Star.
You got to accent.
Johnny Mercer.
To positive on the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe. Or would you like to swing on a star?
Bing Crosby.
Sincerely.
The McGuire Sisters. And Art Mooney. Memory Lane. Giant 3-record collection or 3 8-track or cassette tapes, only $19.95. Here's how to order.
COD and credit card customers call 416-967-1402. To save COD charges, use your credit card or send $19.95 plus $2 shipping and handling for the Giant 3-record, 3 8-tracks or cassettes collection to Memory Lane, Box 747, Station Q, Toronto, or call 416-967-1402 anytime.
How come Pepsi is using an unknown like me instead of a star like Bill Cosby? Simple. Pepsi believes the only person that counts is you. Not me, you. Because the only reason to choose Pepsi over Coke is taste. Your taste. Now, I think Pepsi tastes better, but so what? Your taste is what counts. So find out for yourself. Take 1 Coke, 1 Pepsi, and use your own good taste. We think that's a fair proposition. Wonder if Coke does.
Trust yourself. Trust your own taste.
Good weather's coming.
Yes, indeed. Good weather's coming. She's already here.
Yes, I'm already here. I'm Martha Howard. I'll be joining the news at noon and Global's news at 6 and 11.
Thank you. Welcome back to What Makes a Champion. Gordie is a living legend in hockey. You've been listening to all we've been saying about football and about golf. Are the factors the same in hockey?
I think it's repetition, yes. Day in, day out we practice and we get very comfortable with what you're doing, and also there's an element of love and dedication to what you're doing. So I think all surrounds in one thing. If it's proper preparation, there's no problem.
So that you think your success was due most of all to what? Proper preparation?
Preparation, I said dedication to your sport and the love of it. I would say it's a total combination because somebody will come out the day of a game, say an hour before the game was to take place, and say, okay, let's be up for this game. And my argument was that when training camp started in September, that's when I got up for any game. So it's, and basically the added incentive in the game of hockey where you get hurt quite often, you should be prepared mentally too, because you're going in situations where you can get hurt in a hurry.
And do you think champions are born or made? I mean, you were talking about preparation and dedication, but I mean, how much is the inborn talent?
My feelings on that is you're gifted, the good Lord gifted you with your eye-hand coordination, and then whatever you do with it is strictly up to you. I've yet to see a golfer just born, grab a club and hit a ball, or somebody kick a ball. I think it's what you do with what you have in the way of talent and what you're subject to. And I just happened at one time in early youth, about 5 years of age, was fortunate enough to, through the kindness of my mother, who opened up it was kind of like a gift sack, which she gave some lady $1 to help feed her family during Depression. I'm a little older than these two guys. But what happened there was there's a pair of skates. I put them on, fell in love with the sport. And from that point on, it was a chance. Somebody planted a seed, and I took proper control of it.
So were there people around, though, players around then, who were perhaps more talented than you but less dedicated, and you were more successful than them?
Well, my persistency, I think, paid off because I would never cry about the bad weather. If it was 15 below, I'd still go out and skate, and I played for as many as 5 clubs. So, and I never had the disadvantage of being excluded from a particular game because I was too young. So I played with fellows much older than I am. It's just being kicked around to a certain degree. It developed me a little quicker than probably other ones who were more comfortable in their age bracket. So that's the feeling I had, that when my three sons were playing, when our three sons, I should say, if they were good enough to be in a bracket older than what they should be in, then we didn't push them, but we let them play in it. I think pressure in the case of kicking a ball or stroking a putt, it ages you and matures you in an awful hurry when you're put in that certain position, which basically I was at a younger age.
But your pressure wasn't one of a specific moment, though, like a putt or a kick, was it? It was what, an overall pressure, you mean?
The only time that you have any time to think is on a breakaway. And it's through a training process of being a student of the game. You remember the certain weakness of a goaltender, and you go in there with a definite idea that you're going to shoot. Don't change your mind when you're a given area from it. Just shoot at that particular spot. If he beats you, he beats you. So it's mechanically I've done my job, and that's how I approach that.
Frank, Clair, how important in all of this, in a team game, do you think, is inspiration? I mean, you've been coach of the year and everything. When you were coaching your teams, and now as a scout, the Argonauts, I mean, how important is inspiration from a coach, from a manager, from a team leader?
Well, I think motivation, I found in my career, is the key principle of motivating personnel is pride. I think the pride sifts onto the players as a team. It filters right into the crowd, the people in the city. Everybody has pride. I think that it's a very motivating factor. I think in my life, at least I felt that way. And all my sports that even I participated in was pride.
Could you sense a player who joined the team without pride in himself and get rid of him?
Not realistically, because you're hoping you can motivate him to having pride. It's hard to do, it's hard to say, but I think it can be done. It helps.
Now, we've got a different situation here with George Chuvalo here, who's fought so many famous fights and won so many of them. Now, in the case of boxing, it's a one-on-one thing, isn't it, very much against your opponent. So does what's been said so far apply, or obviously other things apply? But
well, a lot of the things that Gordie said, I think, apply to boxing, because I think the ability to function under pressure is for Dave and for George Nixon, but they're really capsulized versions. When George has to putt a ball into a hole, or when Dave has to kick a field goal or a convert, if you will, that's all capsulized. That's in a matter of one stroke, with the foot or with the hands. But boxing is more of a free flow, and I have 10, 12, or 15 rounds to make up for a lot of mistakes, perhaps earlier in a fight or whatever. And but I think really one of the things that was touched upon that Gordie said was talking about the love of the game, and also he didn't say exactly discipline, but the hard work involved. And really, as far as a fighter is concerned, I think discipline is one of the key factors into becoming a good fighter, a great fighter, or a champion, or whatever. Because unlike a lot of other contact sports where you might have a second or third line, in other words, I might play hockey on one line. If I get tired, I can always go to the bench and say, hey, Coach, I'm tired, and get somebody else in. I'm the whole family out there, no matter what happens. Even though I have a trainer and a manager in the corner, when the bell rings, I'm on my own. And unless I take care of myself, unless I totally dedicate myself to training properly, and I have to cut out certain things, I have to train hard, cut out a lot of things that would be detrimental to my training. Unless I do it 100%, I'm not going to give the best of myself. I'm not going to be able to take care of myself the best way unless I'm prepared 100%, no matter who I fight.
So preparation comes into it again.
Preparation, discipline, the discipline to be able to do away with certain things in terms of diet, in terms of anything that might be detrimental to your health.
Then what about
discipline in terms of training hard? Also, not just the fact that you do away with things, but also the fact that you have to push yourself to do things harder and harder and faster and so on.
Well, until it becomes painful, positively painful. Right. And then what about when it comes to the actual fight and you're pitted against an opponent? Now, sometimes, again, the less good boxer will win, leaving out when it's the judge's fault or whatever else. The other reason is that sometimes one will have psyched the other, one will be a better...
Psych the other, or just have as a stronger mind. I mean, you can have a lot more ability, for instance, than I would have. You might be a better fighter than I am. But if I'm better prepared, and I have a stronger mind, and my will dominate your will, or overcome your will. If I have a stronger will, I can beat you. It can happen. If you're not that much better than I am, my will can overcome for the lack of talent.
Now, how do you exert your will? We're in a boxing ring. we're not talking a great deal. How do you exert your will, your mind over me?
Well, first of all, I know when I fight, I know what I have to do in order to win. In other words, I just have to do enough of it. You know, I'm a pressure fighter anyway. When you're throwing punches at me, I'll try to slip, counter. You're throwing a punch at me, I'll try to slip, counter. And actually, what I try to do is control the type of fight I'm fighting. I try to control in terms of real estate. I'm going to try to get you away from the center of the ring, onto the ropes. Where let's say you're a stick-and-move fighter. Jab, move, try to use your speed, and say I'm the way I am. I try to muscle my opponents. I try to out-strength them, so to speak, if you want to use that term. So I'll try to slip a punch, and as I'm coming, I try to move my head. As you're throwing punches, I'm going to try to counter, or even punches as I'm coming in. But basically, the idea is to get you on the ropes where you're immobilized, where you can't move. Where I'll try to get underneath you, because most of the fights I have fought, most of my opponents have been taller. I'm 6'1", but that's not typically tall for someone in the heavyweight division. So as a consequence, plenty of times I find guys 6'2", 6'3", long reach. I have a short reach, so I have to get in close. Inside, I have the advantage. I like to make an analogy like the ropes are like the jungle, you know, like fighting in the Philippines. The center of the ring is more or less like Regina, Saskatchewan, or Kansas, the plains. So you got a chance to move. But once I get him on the jungle, I'm the boss. That's the idea. So as long as I keep the fight in the jungle most of the time, I'm going to win the fight. Because I don't think there's anyone in the world that can outfight me on the inside. So as long as I get him on the ropes, I'm going to be the boss.
So that's where you're exerting your will or your mind in terms of tactics.
Where I'm close, that's where I'm the boss. So that's where I know I'm going to do it.
Well, now, Muhammad Ali was famous for muttering things.
He liked it in Regina, in Kansas, you know.
Yes.
He wasn't too good on the ropes.
Yes, no, he's a true Canadian. Yeah, but the loves Saskatchewan. But the thing is that he was famous for saying things at times to his opponents and all that sort of thing. How often, how valuable is the muttered reference to people's sexual habits or whatever?
He never knew my sexual habits. No, he was a gentleman in that respect. As a matter of fact, I never ever heard a fighter mention anything sex-wise to another fighter.
But what about the other form of psyching of saying you're looking tired or, you know...
I've never had anyone say anything to me in the fight other than Ali once in one fight. But I out-talked him in the other fight anyway. We had 2 fights. You know, so, but he just said a couple of things, and at this point in time, I figured even what he said, but it just didn't work. It was just something so trivial, it didn't really mean anything at the time. You know?
But there were people in boxing who you knew had a hex over other people. I mean,
when you doubt yourself, if in other words, I'm going to fight you and you think I can beat you, then I say something to you that just more or less reinforces the way you really feel, that you're inferior to me. You know, but so in other words, if I make some kind of a comment about you, about your lack of ability or what I'm going to do to you, and you kind of doubt that you can beat me, that'll just kind of reinforce and make you feel, hey, this guy's intimidating me. Even though you may not say that to yourself, you'll feel that. See?
Absolutely. Well, it's the end of round 2. Bong! We'll be right back.
At GM, our cars are changing. So is our thinking. Look at GM today.
I adore my 64, my Commodore 64. I sing with it, write with it, figure my path of flight with it, my Commodore 64. I rate with it, create with it, telecommunicate with it, my Commodore 64.
64K memory at a price that will put a computer in every home, business, and school years before anyone ever dreamed.
I adore my 64, my Commodore 64.
84 kilometers to travel, 340,000 kilos to haul. You wanted to cut operating costs and fuel consumption by adding a 3rd trailer to your truck train.
That's not easy on the rig.
But the load was too big a strain on the differential. So Esso developed a new oil to protect it. Working in a variety of areas helps Esso find products which benefit everyone, everywhere.
You make us better.
Life cereal, as good for you as it tastes.
My father gave me hands to fashion memories. My mother taught me how to see and feel in poetry. Hello, ancient eyes, do you miss a smile? It's so good to hear your voice again.
There's an antiperspirant so gentle, you may not realize how well protected you really are. Soft and Dry goes on so unexpectedly soft and keeps you reassuringly dry, yet never ever stings, even after shaving. Soft and Dry, gentle as a new dawn, yet strong as your day is long. Roll-On Aerosol and new Soft and Dry Solid.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back, discussing what is it that makes a champion. We've heard some fascinating and some very eloquent comments so far, but we also have with us here in our audience some of the leading champions and ladies champions in different fields here in Canada, and we want to turn to them too. As you listen to all of this just now, Cindy, and with all of thinking of all of your marathon swimming and everything, I mean, how much of that is common to the endurance that you have to show?
Well, it's the same thing. You have to put in a lot of hours of training, a lot of dedication, work very, very hard. But I think the thing that's just a little bit different with marathon swimming is that very few times is my opponent a person. Quite often it's a piece of water. It's very much nature, the wind conditions, how cold the water is, how far it is that I have to swim. And quite often you can have the physical ability and you can wait on shore for months and months and never get the weather conditions that are correct to complete the swim. So that it's very, very psychological, just waiting around until that right chance for you to get in and swim. So you can have all the physical ability and never get the chance to go in and try and cross that piece of water you're trying to swim.
And you've done the English Channel record 3 times, haven't you? 3 terrific swims there. I mean, how long was the longest wait you ever had? You were all geared up and ready to go, except for the weather.
I'm still waiting. About 5 weeks one time I was waiting around. And out of those 5 weeks, almost every day, we woke up in the morning as though we were going to swim. Sometimes I was even greased up on shore and ready to step in the water, and it was canceled at that moment. And that has to be the most exhausting time because it's as though you've swum it. Once you get ready, you might as well have swum it. And you finish and you're thoroughly exhausted, and yet you haven't done anything that day, not at least swum anything that you set out to do. So that 5 weeks is about the longest I've ever had to wait. And sometimes I've come home after 5 weeks and not completed the swim I set out to do.
And as you say, it's not an individual opponent, it's the water, it's the record, it's whatever. But it's much more difficult than people who are just running a measurable distance against the clock or whatever, isn't it, what you're doing, going for a marathon record, because you're not sort of instantly aware of it all the time. I mean, presumably throughout a long swim, you're not thinking of your target, your record target all the time, are you? I mean, you have to find other things to occupy your mind, do you?
Well, you have to think about your stroke, of course, and how fast you're swimming. You have to dodge jellyfish and seaweed and the ocean liners and whatever else happens to be in the way.
George has never encountered a problem with jellyfish in the whole of your career, I don't think. Ever had a single jellyfish?
Never.
No.
I could introduce you to a few. So that takes a lot of your concentration. You try and not think of it sometimes. After 20 hours of swimming, you try and take your mind off of it. But the main thing is that although something like the English Channel, from England to France, the closest distance might be 21 miles, but it's very unlikely that you're going to only do 21 miles, and it's a constant effort to try and minimize the distance that you do swim. And very often you can end up doing 30 or 40 miles trying to cross it, so that no 2 swims are ever the same. And you're just trying to get to the other side as fast as you can, because if you don't, it'll be a much longer swim than you want to do.
And do you actually stay psyched up for the whole swim, or do you actually switch to humming a tune, or I don't know, internally, or...
Well, you always think of something else, but as my opponent, my main opponent is the clock. You always try and think of your stroke and keep up the same pace all the time. Quite often, the biggest problem with marathon swimming is that you can swim for 2 or 3 hours and not realize that you've slowed down. And quite often can slow down, not because you're tired, just because you're not real. You have no clock to judge you by, no pool, the end of which to come to and know that you've completed a certain distance in a certain amount of time. So that you have to really concentrate on your stroke and keep it going as fast as you can all the time, because you just can't afford to go any slower and hope to achieve a record of some sort.
Horst Kroll sitting right behind you. Your opponent in car racing and motor car racing is not so much, it's partially the clock, it's partially your opponents, but it's again an intangible really, which I suppose it's the road on that curve, calculating it to the last 1/8 of an inch or whatever.
Well, David, actually in my sport, probably I'm the only one tonight in this group who is really not just my own ability to go and do a job. I've got other things like a team that has to do a job I can trust. We're going pretty fast out there. You got to have somebody you can trust to tighten up your wheels. You got to have somebody to prepare the machine and whatever goes with it to make it go. And once this all is completed, and then I'm on my own and trying to do a job as good and as best I can. You don't necessarily have to be a winner, but as long as you think you've done the best under the conditions, to me, that is a win.
And when it actually comes to the corner, which you're going into as fast as you can, when you are finally on your own, I mean, what's the margin for error if you're going in at the maximum speed? I mean, how exact do you have to be?
Very, very exact. And you do, the faster you go, the more chances you got to take. That's a simple fact. You're dealing with inches. If you don't hit the apex, you're gone. You destroy a lot of equipment, probably plus yourself. That really never enters your mind until it's happening.
Yes, I remember Sterling Moss once telling me that it could get down to, 3/8 of an inch at a time is the margin, really.
That's correct. The speed we're going, it's the braking and the apex, acceleration, and your total concentration of what you got to do. That's really where it comes down to make things successful in my sport.
The total concentration.
Total concentration. Physical fit, I must say, is very important as well.
Now, do you do something, but in terms of concentrating every time you go into every corner, do you do something for mental concentration as well?
You're trying to just completely cut out everything else you've done or you're thinking of. Just totally concentrate on what you're doing at the moment. And that is the key point, trying to do that for an hour and a half, 2 hours, under very severe heat or weather conditions, and doing a job the best to your ability. That is really a success in our sport.
And if you make a mistake once, it can be the last one.
It can be the last one.
You can't necessarily recoup it.
Well, you can probably try real hard to not make it that. And I've found out that I've been in situations where I sort of knew that this crash was going to come, and I was really amazed when you psych yourself up and you say, hey, man, this is over, and sort of attack the whatever you're planning on hitting. It doesn't feel all that bad, really. You can overcome that problem, I've noticed.
It doesn't feel so bad?
No, you can actually get down to it and say, okay, I'll tackle you. And I've been in few situations, and I walked away where some people would say, boy, he should be dead.
I saw a picture the other day of a cricket match I played in England against a motorcar racing drivers 11 a few years ago, and so many of them are dead. Is there a death wish among some drivers?
At least I do, and I know most of my competitors don't even think about it. And the reason for that is we feel that, number one, we're going in one direction, or we're supposed to go in one direction every time out. Number two, you deal with drivers who are professionals, or at least know to drive a motor car, and you don't have this terrible thing like we have out on the road, drunks and coming the opposite direction when they're not supposed to. There's very little you can do, actually, when that happens. At least we have a chance to recover if we make a mistake.
But in general, if any of us were to become motor racing drivers, would we have to unlearn a lot of the rules of the road?
Yes, oh, definitely, yes. I find it very difficult to deal with the traffic out on the road.
Terrible problem he has. We're so sorry for you. It's so tragic, that problem. We'll be right back.
Picture this special offer from TV Guide. Save $9.53 on the new TV Guide magazine. Get 38 weeks of TV Guide delivered to your door for only $18.97. Take advantage of this special offer. Call now, 1-800-361-0170. The new TV Guide is your passport to the world of television. Gives you the inside stories on your favorite personalities. Takes you behind the scenes in the television industry. Deals with all the issues and pulls no punches. Features sports stars and sports events from around the world. Brings you the favorite recipes of your favorite stars. Gives you TV movies, pay TV movies, and all the detailed and accurate listings more Canadians choose than any other TV publication. All this delivered to your home in advance each week, 38 weeks for only $18.97. And if you call now, you'll receive this special bonus absolutely free. This handy 16-page book of your favorite stars' favorite recipes. There's Jameson Parker's homemade breads, Barbara Eden's crispy salads, Tom Selleck's baked chicken, and many more, all with easy-to-follow recipes. Take advantage of this special offer. 38 weeks of TV Guide delivered to your home for only $18.97. A $9.53 saving compared with the cover price. Plus, the recipes of the stars absolutely free. Call now. The number is 1-800-361-0170. 1-800-361-0170.
Thank you. Thank you, and welcome back as we discuss what makes a champion. And let's talk now to the youngest ever senior Canadian figure skating champion ever in the history of Canada, Tracy Wainman in the second row there. Tell me, as you've heard all these champs talking in their different fields, which is the closest to figure skating? I mean, is it, do you skate against yourself or an opponent or the clock? I mean, what do you feel you're doing when you're out there?
Mostly an opponent, and also yourself, I find. Because we're out there, we're thinking, you know, doing the best job that we can do, but then after you're competing against everyone else also.
Right, but at the moment, what you're really trying to do is do better yourself, is it?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And sometimes, is it ever possible that you can be pleased with your own performance and not win, and on another occasion win but not be pleased with your performance, or does winning really matter most?
I find that if I win and I'm not pleased with my performance, then I go out of there and I'm not happy. But when I go in there and do a good performance and don't win, I come out there feeling, good and proud of myself.
Oh, really? So that really is the thing that comes first, the actual, whether you consider you've done yourself justice or not.
That, and she needs help carrying the flowers.
Fun?
Needs help carrying
the flowers as well. But I mean, and what is the secret of to what extent do you think a good figure skater is born, and to what extent is it learnt or made? I mean, do you think the talents you have you were born with, or did you learn them?
I think I did have some talent when I was born, but it's a lot of hard work mostly. Like, I could have been talented and gone to the rink, and I've seen this happen a lot, and not even work hard, and then that's the end. But usually when you're that far up, it's a lot of hard work.
And how many hours training do you do?
I skate about 7 hours a day, 6 days a week.
It's a 42-hour week on just skating, yes. And I mean, how long can you go on doing that? Would you like to still be doing that much skating when you're 30?
Well, so far, like, I could do this forever. Like, I like it so much. But maybe when I get older, I won't want to. I'll just have to see.
Sounds like jolly hard work, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to, giving that amount of time, 7 hours a day, what do you have to give up in order to be a figure skating champion? What are you aware of that other girls your age don't do that you don't do?
Well, I take correspondence courses this year, so I'm not in school. And I find my whole day with my correspondence courses and maybe my half hour that I can have to myself, I don't have time to do anything else in the whole day.
So that's what you give up, the chance to do,
Right.
chance to do anything else, really. But, and then when you have those days when you've done well, that we were talking about, the days you've done badly, why do you do better one day than another? Do you think it's just the way you wake up in the morning, or why are you on form one day and stunning, and in your opinion not so good another day?
It's how I feel. Like when I wake up, I can tell mostly if it's going to be a good day and I'm going to go to the rink, and mostly like my body condition. Maybe the day before I worked extra hard, so I'm more tired the next day.
Susan Nattrass, in terms of trap shooting, is your main opponent yourself or your what?
For me,
yeah,
it's myself, and I think it's myself and also a perfect score. I'm going for a 200 out of a 200 or 100 out of 100, whatever the event calls for. But with what everybody else has been talking about, I think shooting is very similar. You have to do a lot of preparation before you get there, let's say to the competition. I believe in really analyzing the sport and the conditions that I'm going into. And then once you're there, it's very much making sure you keep going through a routine in your mind. Well, in my mind, I go through the same routine, so I'm blocking everything else out. Now, people have said that a bomb could go off, and if I'm in my state, that it could go off and I won't really notice it. And it's very much the control and the concentration that's important.
Concentration again. And being a champion for years in a row, does the thrill wear on or wear off, or does it get more difficult or more easy?
It gets difficult. It gets more difficult. I think almost the first World Championship was the easiest, and this last one, my 6th World, was the hardest, because I had more doubts. We've talked about, you know, the different athletes have talked about, you've said, do you know when you're going to miss or something, or not? I think what happens as you get older or more into the sport, or you have higher expectations, you also get more doubts. And if I have a doubt for a moment, like I have to hit a target between about 0.4 and 0.7 seconds. It's going at 70 to 90 miles an hour. And if there is even the slightest doubt that I'm not going to get it, I'll miss it. And so it gets hard.
Oh, it must do. I know, going to a fairground, the same thing, you know. It's only about 5 feet away, and if you say, I'm going to hit it, I'm going to hit it, you often
But it's not moving.
I know. It's, I mean, you know, so, I mean, with you've really got a problem there. And if for a moment negative thinking takes over, you're done for.
Oh, yes. If for the moment I think, well, I really can't do this, or why am I here, or if I start getting greedy, I start thinking, boy, I really want to win this, you know, and I start getting that way, then my mind isn't concentrating on what it's supposed to do, and that is just to go through its routine and hit the silly target.
Well, that's the interesting thing about, boy, I really want to win this. Does money, I mean, not everybody's a professional, but does money help or hinder, in fact? Does it concentrate the mind wonderfully? To those of you, does it make any difference whether you're out to win for money or out to win?
Well, I don't get money.
No,
so,
but it just occurred to me that when you have other motives, I just wondered whether money helps or hinders.
Well, for me, money would help because when money is a problem, you're also thinking about it. Now, I've got to make this count because it's cost me X number of dollars to get here, and let's say I only have one meal a day. So the money pressures, I think a lot on amateur athletes, is very important. Like it adds another pressure that you don't really need.
I mean, for instance, George, if this putt was worth $100,000 or zero, would it affect your attitude?
If I'm conditioned properly, I wouldn't know the difference. No.
You'd never be that well.
No, Miller.
Never, don't believe it. We'll be right back in just a second.
Tomorrow on That's Life, we listen to kids of divorced parents, and we meet a woman who was twice pronounced clinically dead and twice brought back to life.
Hello, Hal Smith for Mini Gym. If you're not pleased with the shape you're in, Mini Gym can help you gain a new, trimmer body. But Mini Gym doesn't stop there. This simple start-up routine can trim inches off your waist, but it also prepares you for your second goal, improved fitness. Week by week, as you follow the Mini Gym system, you're shown how to make the correct adjustments to this oak and steel tension multiplier. Mini Gym changes as you change, slimming you, trimming you, and guiding you through a fitness program you'll want to stay with. Only Mini Gym has the tension multiplier. It can help you reach two important goals, a new, trimmer body and improved fitness. For rush delivery, here's how to order. Your complete Mini Gym system is just $29.95, which includes provincial tax. COD, Visa, MasterCard orders, phone area code 416-922-1188, or send $29.95 to Mini Gym, Box 40, Station Q, Toronto.
They're the best of the best. Warm and wonderful real folk with a spice for life.
I never thought about being ventriloquist, and you're not a good one either.
I think the more tacky, the better.
You'll meet them all on More Real People. Global's got it weeknights at 7:30.
Welcome back to our unique gathering of Canadian sportsmen and sportswomen as we analyse what makes a champion. Let me turn to the Chief Medical Doctor for Team Canada, Dr. Charles Bull over here. How important in all of this is two things: the luck of the way you were born, fit or otherwise, and what you can then do with it.
I think that the heredity or the luck of the way you're born is very important. And I think that's what these people show tonight, an amazing humility for the sort of the magnificent groups that are here. But nobody here really has said that I have superior ability. And they obviously do. Like, they have a magnificent ability to do their sport, number one, to have the nervous system or the muscle composition. And there are different types of muscles, as you know, that sort of fit in. But also the ability to train their bodies. And that's what everyone here almost has mentioned. Like Cindy didn't say, she's going in 50-degree water. You know, if I go in 75, it's freezing. She goes in 50. Or Gordie, he just flicks his wrist and the puck goes at 100 miles an hour. And so these people are such a humble bunch almost that they haven't mentioned their magnificent heredity or their magnificent ability. And if we had a superstars tonight, like if Gordie had to kick the ball or Cindy shoot the puck, you'd see them do them miles better than me, for instance. They have an amazing native ability.
And in order to maximize on a native ability, what sort of attitude should a champion have to their own bodies?
Well, again, that's manifest tonight, the ability to train the body. And Tracy didn't say that, you know, I have to train for 7 hours a day. She said, I train for 7 hours a day. She really likes it. You know, isn't that amazing? Yeah. But she does. And that's what a lot of these people do, that... And again, Cindy, she's in the water that time, but she likes it. It means a lot to her to be able to get that 100% out of her body. And the reason she wins is because the opponent only got 96% out. And that's what they're talking about tonight, is the ability to handle these things.
Alan Abel, you've covered sport for years for the Globe and Mail. Which of all these different qualities would you single out as the one that appeals most to you?
I think it's hard to single out one. I think certain sports, like Gordie's sport, a Canadian is born with a certain cultural propensity to be a hockey player. There's a peer pressure among his friends to be a good hockey player. A kid who plays hockey well, like Brian Bellows is at the age of 17 or 18 or 19, already has a status in the community. For a different sport, maybe for a figure skater who has to start at a very young age, the parents might be the most important motivation. I've been to training centers in the Soviet Union where little girls 4 and 5 years old are being pushed into gymnastics or pushed into figure skating before they have a chance to question that. And maybe that's what happens to some of our young athletes here, that some of these sports require so much dedication that they have to be pushed into it by their parents or by a school or some way before they can even decide if this is what they want to do. I don't think most 14-year-olds would jump onto a rink 7 hours a day because they liked it. It has to be started a lot earlier for them to think that they do like it.
What do you think, Brian, listening to all of this, with the terrific future everyone predicts for you? What's going to make the difference between you becoming the champion that everyone says you can become and not?
I think the main thing is a mental attitude.
Next year, I know when I get drafted, there'll be a lot of money involved. I'll be signing for a good lump and a big contract, and the main thing is to keep working. To work just as hard as I am now, and I'm making $25 a week compared to next year. But I'll be making well over that amount. And to keep achieving at the rate that you should be, even though you're going to be making more money, you'll be in a different class as far as income is concerned. You have to keep achieving things, and you have to remember the little things that you used to do. While I'm playing junior, the time we used to play band, and what was important then has to stay important when you move up.
Well, you've had a lot of assembled advice from the Brains Trust here. Right alongside you is Mike Anscome. Mike, what's the most important word in it all for you?
I think that the modesty and humility the doctor referred to is kind of ironic, because I think every champion has a monumental ego. I don't mean ego in terms of personality, nor chemistry, nor character. I mean ego in terms of what he or she does, their specialty. The difference between a champion, perhaps, and a runner-up. A runner-up will think of all of the things that can go wrong, all of the things that can lead to failure. And I think the champion only thinks of what has to be done, must be done, in terms of succeeding.
And that is ego in its most sort of
yes, absolutely.
Productive form, in a sense.
Absolutely. It's part of the mental process. Clearly, when you reach the level of excellence that many of these people have, then it becomes something intangible, and I think that intangible is will, which is partially ego, isn't it?
Yes, will or ego, but I mean that determination, because in fact...
The belief that you're better than anybody else at that particular moment doing that particular thing.
Yes, because a lot of you have said that if at that particular moment you don't think you're better than anyone else, Susan, for instance, you won't be, right? I mean, you have to...
Oh, you have to have that confidence that you've trained harder, that you are in better shape, you've analyzed it better, and that you're more prepared than anybody else.
And once you have any doubts, for instance, Dave, I mean, once you have any doubts, you're in trouble, right?
I agree. And I think there's one thing that we haven't really split here, too, is that there's really basically two types of sports. The ones that you're sitting on a pedestal by yourself, and the one that the team sports, where you've got other guys depending on you. So it's in a team sport. I think that's, for me, is a tremendous motivation, because that's one that I demand of myself, that I can't fail. You know, I have to succeed. And for me, I love being in a tight situation, not because I've been lucky at it. I love being in a situation because I know that I can help the guys that I work with. And it's a well-known fact that teams that are sticking close together, ego-wise, in other words, the average ego, makes a great team, because then you don't have people demanding of the public more attention on them than other folks.
Well, you're quite right. There are the team sports here tonight and the non-team sports, but can you feel a common bond, though, between all of you, things you have in common?
Oh, sure.
What is it?
Well, I think the common bond is that first of all, everybody's got a super motivation. Now, I know myself that I haven't changed my attitude towards my sport or sports in general since I was very young. I've always just loved to compete. And I've been lucky enough that I've been given the opportunity to do something that I really love and even get paid for it. And I think that the common bond for everybody is that you have a chance to succeed and a chance to focus yourself and have the time to do it, because there's lots of people that love sports just as much as I do and probably just as gifted, but for the chances of circumstance, because I can make it into a job, I can hone it. And I think that's the common bond here, is that we have had the chance to become better, whereas other folks haven't.
And of course you've succeeded. We've got to take a break. We'll be right back.
When you eat your Smarties, do you eat the red ones last? Do you suck them very slowly or crunch them very fast? Eat that candy-coated chocolate, but tell me when I ask. When you eat your Smarties, do you eat the red ones last? When you eat your Smarties, do you eat the red ones last? Do you suck them very slowly or crunch them very fast? Eat that candy candy-coated chocolate. But tell me when I ask, when you eat your Smarties, do you eat the red ones last?
Those workmen just said they're expecting a whole truckload of tricks. The fruity-tasting cereal that's a delicious part of a nutritious breakfast. A whole truckload of...